Tibetan di tola kundu zobu tanda nganzu sane Senator Amy Klobuchar ne tanda Elizabeth Abbott Koran Paye ani dida nyamdo tanda mise kundu anzo awan sandola chazu zunsu awan sandola de Paye ani samolo sandi shurona chadarona
前没有出去考虑，送这钱，推荐到谁家给杨家白白送钱。其实我这个我讲我就我个老，提前给你们普及介绍他说的，超生普遍世界泡沫减少，巨大改为马上什么阶段的过呢？江南兄弟或者听给的听众当普遍做民主的改为，长路前或者西外江南前为普及老就套。你的妹妹，你们是银杏，法国的朋友说，伊朗的妹妹，我这今朝公司讲我全部巧了。泰国的家教请给一百，头些怎么去呢？可做能力要呢？根据台东去过说，江南监狱的估计钱有过了3月，台长马上朋友公司巧了，我等的家庭不给春节，他这往我这其他的，确定让我没法写的。这不行，讲朋友拿三个的让我他们这好像全部有不当，三个朋友拿中去给呢，长过了一拿美丽卡长嘛让你就去有不当，这些朋友老穷，我们那么公司个苦叔叔工的卡的，可以给小弟去了创业的创业上嘛是，龙骨卡啷个七个长嘛是不是实际中呢？我们中说赶紧做早点接近。我让这就是为那新州三个卡，这我呢，不怕当，不么嘛，金钟节我的片子做得起的就的，他不那种忙学学呗，或者他们在那个年纪，中国的用着我这也他们，他就开心呗，那当的，江南兄弟联系得到，态度参照过，江南兄弟朋友们给我的这边说起，现场的49期上拉的。现讲不每个引导的确实前天都说呢，江南水就来学外国呢，当然他不每个我都山东来，每个我就为高度珍珠我获得人不特级钱呢，就当国家我就我孙主江南的你们当，老了出去吧当，老了蹲去吧当都协和联合，这些老了解决当，实际去为还是协和去，导致经济一国呢，后面让我他对平时节约。我去头吧当，那兄弟，这往那就说的钱呢，这个女动工呢，他把了。后面家长我就我说，让你没事当然可能，按照我们的演变，让你招生经济，都不了解，让你没事。当今继续的影响，让你没事，当今拼不起，让我破了让我过，我是讲我全部做破了，点这个呗，慢慢也我都舍不得有。但是家长吧，现在的起脚了东就舍吧，后面到他们那边吃了东啊舍不得嘞。我说没到空呢，后面的就缺的人凶。娘把说觉得每年原地去都不走，忙着忙碌，有的当忙着吃了，常往西勇气，就是你都舅舅呢，光是叫呢不 찹스지 공 내만을 원들 제거라 우주라 찌르 나요 범위 뒤주기 시주 범위 남다 대지 치계 계급 10주단에 내시에 범위 연기 원적 차유 치 계급 주수 나고도 동조 내고 주요다 대신 계급 주수 계급 주주 돈지 원디 체단 니지 주주 돈도 법자 주주적에 시작 대다가 명가 계속같이 제유라 따져 지시요 보다 범위 계급소나 내용 조절의 팀의 구조 요바다 보다 계급 속의 조절 팀의 초과 70대인보다 대신 제기를 오스트레일리아다 이탈리 벤점 캐나다 덴마크 프랑스 유에 남아 휴식된 유에 또 로미 도단 대시 도단 조급에 대구주기 대전 양나게 메세 아리나 조지 조급 아리 메세 남자 손주 배분하시 체제 디링게 수주 투전디 저로 저동 고장 거중하고 지도 수면에 뒤 타다팔라야다 말아서 메로 조주치요래 메로 조주 나눠라야 단도 말아서 랑유로 로마토 셰셰 미롱바 캬제도 스테요래다 말아서 제주 나를 예배 범위를 낸게디 가르스는 땅에 망구지 슈 먹어야 되는데 말아서 법은 예배 차네 메르 모르라야 랭게 요번에 말아서 마집 지고야 돼 개체 문제를 해서 것도 드링들이야 말아서 갈라 감삼지 좀 요런데 드링이 님은 들리 지고 많이 봐 남샤 규드네 도동고 돌아야 말아서 개기고 돼 개체 문제를 해서 것도 사회 다 망구슈 먹어야 되는데 탈랑카 참을 나눠라야 나제 메제 참을로기 갈로 만화 참을로 세요래 제단데 디토네 게 망구슈 먹어야 토네 남샤 규드네 말아서 더 나라면 더 나라 유백의 범위적에 거도 간지 연구요래. 근데 드리라고 차샤베네. 보란주 중에 서울라 해서라고 차샤베나 답해진 남당 레버다 찍고 차대요래. 제단게 다 만화도 참을로게 실루이 자지 미망이 거도 됐음라 샤베 토네. 니리게 초에 나라야 나 법에 인쇄해지다. 보드랑 계속 지고야지 법에 추더리쇼 당지 지고야지 하나도 랭고 인도자네 랭게 인도자네 나버 참을로게 셈라 자로치 아는 게 다가나 탐지 쇼이 한번 도쳤나
소소한 두치 이 슈그대가 좋다가 근데 산에 네 근데 아리 중기 안주 가서래 세네터 에미 코버처 프랑기 이전에 단단 안주 롭된 바게바 엘리자베트 에버트 코란테 프랑체샤나 안주 카신 로비라 그게 에미 코버처 세네터기 오피스라 차에 총소 아니 그저 튼두이시나라 프랑기 근데스 페투구스 간사 안주 카신
And good morning. I am so happy to be able to be here with all of you celebrating 60 years of the Tibetan Uprising. And I met with Samten earlier this week, as well as some other members of the Tibetan American Foundation in Minnesota at our office, which is just about 3 blocks away from where we are right now, to talk about what's been happening in Tibet, the historic and systemic repression of the Tibetan people, and what our office has been doing for many years to support Tibetans here and around the world. And I want to underscore a few things that I talked about with Samten and the other members of the organization earlier this week, which is that our office and Senator Klobuchar continue to be a resource and a partner to Tibetans here in Minnesota and around the world. She has been leading legislatively, calling for increased dialogue between China and His Holiness the Dalai Lama, calling for an end to the violence and an end to the repression of the Tibetan people, calling for a restoration of the human rights that Tibetans deserve. And we'll continue to do that until we get the outcome that both our office and all of you want, which is respect for and restoration of Tibetan human rights. I think I've been looking at this sign down in the front that says truth is our only weapon, and that I think that is so true, and that's something that our office very much agrees with, which is that we'll continue to speak truth when it comes to the historic repression, comes to the violence against the Tibetan people. We'll continue to speak truth about the Tibetans that rose up and were united in their defense of your cultural identity, in defense of the rights that you know you deserve, in defense of your religious freedoms. And we'll continue to speak truth until, again, we get the outcome that we want. I know today, as we talk about a lot of these struggles that have happened across over the years, it's amazing to see all of you here today in Minnesota and to hear about your center, to see all these children here and to know about the programs that you host on a weekly basis to make sure that they are embodying the cultural identity that you all cherish so much. And so I hope you see our office as a partner to you on that. We are so thankful for the rich diversity that this community and so many others bring to Minnesota, and we will continue to support you every step of the way. So thank you so much for having me be here today. I look forward to hopefully coming by the center sometime soon to connect with you a little bit more, and I really appreciate all that you're doing. Thank you.
근데 먼저 여기 순주 뒤에 행 주지버들이야. 아니 그것도 심지어니 여기 내가 주말 게 참을러리야. 전부 쇼리. 근데 먼저다 대점이야기 뒤에디 로 주지버리야. 왜 나러리야 비미츠. 아니 야마 급습디라 뭐고기 아니 장소리동 터네 내부 베나마들 찬스 슈거리 때 찬스도 주인이 바로로 주치스도 스코요리 딱 먼저 다들부터를 찬스 슈브리는 아주 딱 뒤다 넘버고도 딱 찬스 슈이삼 뭐인발라 아니 딱 그나지 로 주중을 닝도디 여기 독습디 아니 다 상안에 개가 토양 치도 불에 변버리 니는 아주 딱 다들도 찬스는 나야디 나 공이리라 양파버지 다들부터 오늘 찬스 나요리 양시라리 이내다 찬스 삼지라 마샤니 아니 그나 정원들이 주시기 아니 먼저 배우고 대답이 세야 치도 베지나로 나서지 아주 선물이야 아니 찬스 주셔야니 아니 그런데 니 먹으시라 페샤 아니 다들도 내가 도나마야 돼 양시라리 아니 뒤다 남바콘도다 당기 쉬면시 그렇기 때문에 쓰이고도 뒤다 남바콘도 도나 드레스 나로나 스페도 쉬어지기 아니 다 다다보다 먼저 너무 주지 디나로리아 배우기네 된디 점블링 디가네 마예니 먼저다 지 변나로리네리 치료를 제주 주면이네리 아니 지 베베 가수를 민디 키니 아니 지 점블링 디가네 투야디 아니 지도 호스팅 부시부 처음 투지 그린 양치 디네 조여리 아니 지도 호스팅 부시부 처음 투지 그린 뭐케베 비미 간지 요마리 디인두 나란지 비미 용기 거기 그린 수양 치도 아니 거기 그수 지주 주고야 돼 계시면 쉬고리 아니 거 꾸지대야 치도 완전 쉐빔 약수디 그 저거 숨 편지 독지 지지내 고야 돼 계시면 쉬고 요리시제 라인 지준비 중 아가지다 다데 자자게 내지 나한테 배우고 그 체지기 자자게 내든 기급라 아가지 비미 추숨 용서 텐스 독지 지진기 강내 아니 가수라다 집어디 계시부 체내 가지다 속고 지라다 미마 나한테 미길 아니 르도 보고 유네 디케 집어디 계시부 진네 단 투지 독지 지진 아니야 나 처음에 배주나로 나스 부르슈에니 다 드린데 쉬게 먹고 싶이 요리 디데 리사바다데 소소하게 구근하니 인지나디스 나버치 숨기 네 내가 인지 야오메 인지사바데 네 인지나로리아 내가 교로나 쉬기지 네 말 간토도 제 리마 포츠야시지 베즈슈니 Hello everyone. I would love to take this opportunity to thank you everyone who have come here to take part in the 60th anniversary of Tibetan National Uprising Day. I also take this opportunity to thank all the Tibetan supporters and those of you who take interest in the Tibet issue. My name is Nawang Sangdo. I'm a former political prisoner from Tibet. Personally, I'm not an expert on Tibetan history. However, the inspiration that I have received from my beloved parents. My father would teach me about Tibetan history and culture. He was a brave man, and his words influenced me as I grew older. My father, my uncle, my brother, and myself spent years in prison for our free Tibet. My mother died right after my first release in 1991 due to too much harassment of Chinese authorities. My father passed away at home after he spent 8 years in prison. My oldest brother was even shot killed at age of 13. As I was born in a such family, I cannot say that I was not influenced by my family. As I grew older, I was filled with pain to see my country being occupied, dropped, and destroyed by the Chinese Communist Party. Therefore, I protested several times peacefully in Tibet. I was first arrested when I was 13 years old for shouting "Free Tibet, or long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama." I was second arrested when I was 15 years old. I spent 11 years of my life in Chinese jail in total. During initial detention, the authorities would beat me with iron rods, water hose, and many other different kinds of weapons almost every day. Kicking and slapping were so usual that they didn't even think of beatings. There's one experience I want to share with you. One day, the authorities brought a strange object that looked like a telephone. It was actually an electric cord. He asked me, "Do you want to call your home?" I replied that my home didn't have a telephone. He said he will install one. Then he put the object in my shirt and turned it on. My entire body shook and shrank in a way I couldn't control. That was my first electric shock. I was still 13 years old. I continued protesting in prison, and it made my sentence as long as 23 years. During my life in jail, I endured interrogations, beatings, torture, hunger, severe cold, and solitary confinement. I was finally released after 11 years. I now live in freedom, but every day I worried about thousands of Tibetans who are still suffering today, right at this minute, for doing nothing more than a peaceful protest. After China occupied Tibet, we have witnessed protests for freedom and call for return of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The protests have spread throughout the Tibetan areas. This is a clear sign to the Chinese authorities and the world that the Tibetans in Tibet have not accepted China's rule. The Communist China rules Tibet with brutal occupation. The longing for freedom that many Tibetans have sacrificed so much for in the past remains as strong today. I respect the courage of all those that have taken part in the struggle for freedom, but I am also gravely concerned about the consequences that they face. I fear for those imprisoned because of my own experience in prison. I know exactly what they can face. Many people have lost their lives. Many have been arrested, and many will lose their lives and be arrested until Tibet will be free. I want no one in Tibet and no one in this world to suffer the way I did. Especially, don't want to see anyone burning alive. Therefore, I ask you to help free those Tibetan prisoners. In my own case, due to international pressure by Tibet supporters everywhere, I was finally released on October 17, 2002. I know from my own experience, it is very helpful when free people living in free nations put pressure on Chinese government. It gives person in Tibet a little more breathing room. Severe treatment and torture. Therefore, we need your help now. I think for peaceful world, everyone in this world have the responsibility to pressure cruel government like the Chinese government. In this globalized world, nothing is internal affair when it comes to human rights. Tibet is therefore an international issue. Please do continue your support for justice, freedom, and human rights. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So basically, for our Tibetan youth in Minnesota and around the world in exile, in this current day and age, we get so distracted by all the little things going on in our lives, like social media, like what's going on at school, all of that. But we often overlook and forget how we actually got here. Through the leadership of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, the sacrifices of our dear Popo and Mumalas, the strength of our loving Pala and Amalas, we have been given the privilege of living in this free nation and having the chance to raise our voice. We owe it to them and our brothers and sisters who are still in Tibet to keep our story and our identity alive. Take the initiative to go learn about our history, continue to learn our language, keep our culture alive, and give back to the community as much as you can. Remember who you are and where you come from, because eventually we will be the ones who will free Tibet. And then I also wanted to say March 10th, Tibetan Uprising Day is very important, but I feel like we also cannot forget about March 12th, 1959. It was Women's Uprising Day, where thousands of women in Lhasa came out in front of the Potala Palace to protest against the illegal occupation of Tibet. So on March 12th, this coming Tuesday, 5 o'clock here, we will also be commemorating the women who stood up and raised their voice for Tibet. So if you got all, please join us, that would be great. And then lastly, on behalf of Minnesota Pimenenzo, we would like to deeply thank Ajahn Asalunla for your courage, for your strength, and for everything you've done for Tibet and continue to do for Tibet. Thank you.
Today marks the 60th anniversary of the Tibetan Uprising Day. 60 years ago, Tibetans gathered around the summer palace of His Holiness the Dalai Lama to protect the life of our spiritual leader, not knowing what may lay ahead. It has been 60 years that Tibetans have been separated from our homelands, Tibet. Today, all over the world, we are gathered to protect the livelihood of our brothers and sisters inside Tibet. That is the resistance. That is the Tibetan spirit. I personally have never been to Tibet, but that doesn't mean I can't dream that one day I can walk the streets of Lhasa, ride on a yak on the green pastures, and climb the Mount Everest. These last 60 years have been arduous for all Tibetans, but especially for our elder generations who's had to endure the loss of our home, our Palas and Amalas who had to make the tough journey as a refugee, and our brothers and sisters inside Tibet who still face atrocious human rights violations inside their own home. But after 60 years, Tibetans have never once wavered. We have stood the test of time, and we will continue to resist the violations that are occurring today for our brothers and sisters inside Tibet. Ironically, as a Tibetan who's had the privilege of being born in India and growing up in the United States, I have a responsibility. We all have a responsibility. We owe it to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. We owe it to our parents. We owe it to our martyrs who have sacrificed their life and those still in prison. We owe it to our Tibetan brothers and sisters inside Tibet. And we owe it to our Tibetan community here in the Twin Cities to be actively engaged in the discourse of the Tibetan movement. As a representative of the Youth for Umilam, the Middle Way approach, I am committed to bringing peaceful conflict resolution to our loved ones inside Tibet. We, a group of Tibetan youth in Minnesota, have established Y4U in order to raise awareness about Umilam, the Middle Way approach, because we saw the need to educate and clearly present a comprehensive understanding of Umilam. Using a bottom-up approach, we will create opportunities to learn more about Umilam and its importance to support a more peaceful state of self-governance in Tibet. Ultimately, this allows the Tibetan people to meet their basic needs and to preserve the unique Tibetan culture and identity. We strongly believe Umilam is the most pragmatic solution that protects the vital interests of both China and Tibet. Youth for Umilam, the Middle Way approach, works in solidarity with the CTA and the Tibetan people to raise awareness and support for the Middle Way through education, political advocacy, community engagement, youth empowerment, and peaceful conflict resolution. On behalf of Youth for Umilam, I want to thank every one of you, especially the younger generations, for showing up today, for your resistance, for your courage to stand up for your brothers and sisters inside Tibet. Thank you.
Amen. United Nations! We want justice! United Nations! We want justice! Please, please! Benche Lama! Benche Lama! Out, out, out! Out, out, out! Stop the killing! Stop the killing! Long live! Long live! United Nations! Wake up! Wake up! United Nations! We want justice! United Nations! We want justice! Release! Release! Benche Lama! Release! Release! Benche Lama! Release! Release! Benche Lama! Human rights! Human rights! Stop the killing! Stop the killing! Long live! Long live! Long live! Release! 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 Human rights! Human rights! Long live! Long live! Human rights! Human rights! Release! Release! Benche Lama! Release! Release! Benche Lama! What do we want? We want freedom! What do we want? We want freedom! What do we want? We want justice! Long live! Dalai Lama! Long live! United Nations! We want freedom! United Nations! We want justice! United Nations! We want freedom! Stop the killing! Stop the genocide! Stop the torture! Stop the killing! Stop the torture! Stop the genocide! Long live! Long live! United Nations! We want justice! United Nations! We want justice! We want justice! want justice. United Nations. We want justice. United Nations. We want justice. Homeless. Justice! United Nations! We want justice! United Nations! We want justice! Wake up! Wake up! Pension Lama! Pension Lama! In Tibet!
Human rights violation!
In Tibet!
No religious freedom!
In Tibet!
Thank you.